Hello YouTube and hello Ninth Age community. This is Charles with Evershade Gaming and I've got another Ninth Age battle report. This is a Kingdom of Equitaine Legendary Army book game against Ogre Cons. And as a preview of the Kingdom of Equitaine lab, I have the privilege and honor to share with you a battle report with the new army and just what a new army with the KoE lab can look like. So let's look at the list. I'll post the ogre list I played in the comment section of the video as well as this list too. We believe this is an accurate list. It's got enough core. It's not over the characters. It's not over the Fae. It's a little tough when we're so spoiled, honestly, these days with great apps like New Recruit to make your army lists. It's always funny when a lab comes out and you get the chance to play test it or make an early battle report and you're trying to put a list together and you have to pull out pen and paper and it just brings you back to your childhood. So, but this is the list that we played against. So my opponent has, I didn't play this list. My opponent and I sort of crafted this list together and he played it. He's got a damsel with the Master of Divination, magical heirloom, and on a unicorn. He's got an Equitaine Lord who's sainted. He's got a shield with a lance that has divine judgment. He's got Salt Infusion, Black Knight's Talbot, Obsidian Rock. I think just the Obsidian Rock or the Sacred Chalice. I think we were going back and forth between those. They do very similar things, and a Hippogriff. So this guy's pretty cool. He's also got the. I don't think we wrote it down too. He's got the Honor Knightly Principle, which means that whenever he's charging something in the front, he gets +2 advance and +2 attacks in the front too. So pretty cool, especially with Divine Judgment. Then he's got an Equitaine Lord, that's his BSB. He's a Paladin. He's on a Destrier with Percival's Panoply, a Halberd with the Mortal Reminder upgrade, and he's got the Knightly Principle of Justice. And then he's got a folk hero who's got the Quinn upgrade that gives him Witchcraft, the Book of Arcane Mastery, and Obsidian Rock. Okay, so the Witchcraft dude has the Obsidian Rock, the Equitaine Lord has the Sacred Chalice. And he's got a longbow that gives him 3 shots. And then in the core section, he's got 13 Feudal Knights with full command, banner speed, the Knight Banneret, which is the champion upgrade, and he also has Ordo's Blessed Banner, which is the bound version of the hereditary spell. He's got 11 Ordo Sergeants with great weapons and the full command and the champion upgrade for Ordo's Minister. And then he's got 30 Lowborn Levies with just full command, shield, and spear. In special, he's got 7 Hedge Knights with champ and paired weapons. I think he had 9 Hooded Men with the Enlisted Outlaws upgrade, a Sacred Reliquary, a Trebuchet, and then 2 Fae creatures, the Ladies Courtier. He didn't take 2 Ladies Courtiers. He has the Ladies Courtier and he had the Fae Knight. Just sort of misname on that last one. So it's the Ladies Courtier, Courtier of Dusk that gives Druidism, and then the Fae Knight using the Field and Stone, so he ambushes out of the fields. We played on the Villa grounds, and let's read our little description here. The nobles of Dathan take great pride in their majestic estates, displays of their position and standing. The villa of Prince Fulman per Azina is no exception. He commands one of the grandest manors to be found, with extensive grounds spreading out across the landscape. It is known that the beasts trained in the menagerie roam the holdings, tasked with salvaging any those who would dare transgress. The prince's personal guard represents a veritable army, and this is the force you now find yourself in service to. Serve well, and you may secure advancement. Dread Sergeant Tabrihan Crislane. Oh, neat. Dread Elf background. No Dread Elves, but KoE and Ogre Cons. So let's look at spells. I've got a Master and Cham. He's got Totemic Summon, Break the Spirit, Swarm of Insects, Awaken the Beast, Children Umi, and Rod of Battle. And then the Div Master has Breath of the Lady, which is totally different. The Breath of the Lady now gives you 2 Horizon tokens to your army, which If you are not familiar with what a Horizon token is, I'm not going to try and explain too many things. There's a lot of things coming out this week that are. There's all sorts of podcasts and other YouTubers. The Cavalier's Tale, Hammer Time Podcast is putting stuff out. Gloria Golden State Gaming. Um, the Paired Weapons podcast. A lot of people in the community engagement team are putting out videos about either the characters, either the special equipment. So go out, go out into the YouTube sphere, go out into podcasts, and just listen. Everyone's putting out some great stuff talking about all the other things. So gonna try not bog myself far too down in the rules necessarily, unless I think they impacted the game in a meaningful way. So Hereditary Spell, and then Scrying, Know the Enemy, and Iron Strike, and Fate's Judgment. The Ladies' Court, or the Ladies' Courtier had Druidism, so it had Summer Growth and Entwining Roots. And then the Folk Hero with the Quinn upgrade that gives it Witchcraft had the Wheel Turns and Raven's Wing. So these are the 3 pieces in the army that bring Horizon tokens. The Sainted Equitaine Lord, he has 1. The Damsel, she has 1. And the Sacred Reliquary also brings 1. There's a couple other units like the Paladin and the Ordos Ministers that have the ability to use the effect within 8 inches, but they don't necessarily come with it. So my opponent was starting with 3 Horizon tokens. My opponent won the roll for table sides, so I just plopped down without too much thought. It's a pretty simple list that I'm running with. I'll go from starting at the top of the picture. 3 Bruisers, 3 Merc Vets with Devastating Charge, +1 Strength, +1 Advance, and Swift Stride. 4 Bombardiers, a Rock, 2 Yetis, 11 or 12 Tribesmen with the Banner of the Great Grass Sky and Iron Fists. All 3 of my characters in there. Great Khan with Kagadai's Legacy, Destiny's Call, Obsidian Rock. BSB with Essence of Mithril, Viper's Curse, Aether Icon, and Cult Leader. And Shaman with a Great Weapon, Shamanism, and the Out of Battle Magical Arrow. 2 more Yetis, 4 Tuskers with full command, and then 3 more Bruisers. Pretty simple list. There you can see all my characters a little better. Great Khans on the right, Shamans on the left, BSBs in the middle next to the champion. And here, this is my opponent's army. Kind of put together using a bit of my Empire Sandstal and some old Bretonnians that my dad used to play, actually. I sort of summoned them out of retirement to put a game together, so it was pretty fun to look at them and marvel at the fact that they didn't have any magnets on them or anything like that, because these models haven't been played with probably since 7th edition. Maybe a couple early 8th edition games, but mostly 7th. So starting on the left here, my opponent's got 7 Hedge Knights, which are, light troop, strength 4, AP 1 knights with paired weapons. He's got a big thing of Peasant Levy with his Sacred Reliquary. So it's 30 bodies with the Sacred Reliquary takes up 6 more bodies, so effective 36 guys. Trebuchet chilling in the back. Trebuchets are large, so it easily sees over just about everything. But the Hippogriff in the middle. With the Hippogriff, its base is a little too long, but it never really came up that it was we needed to double check something for measurement. His big unit of Feudal Knights with his BSB chilling in there and his Damsel, his 9 Hooded Men and his Folk Hero, and then his 11 or so Ordos Sergeants and his Fey Courtier. And the Fey Knight, he ambushes from one of the fields on this battlefield, so he's going to ambush at another point. And other than that, we do Vanguards. I decide I'm kind of already feeling I just going to give them the old push. So I Vanguard my Yetis up within 12, and then we go for turn 1. And here's another picture of the battlefield, me giving a little thumbs up before we start rolling any dice. And Ogre Khan's turn 1, we really just push aggressively. I just gotta say, All right, I'm gonna feed you some Yetis, and I'm gonna see what happens. How I can, maybe get these knights in combat. Uh, I think it's always better to charge the knights than to be charged by them in most cases. At least, really, I guess basically most of the feudal knights. But yeah, we push up pretty aggressively, trying to get the bruisers into the scoring. To be scoring, we're playing breakthrough, and we just played frontline clash. First magic phase, got the 7 flux card. Toss swarm of insects. My opponent lets it go. I do 2 wounds, so that's nice. And I believe I tried to break the spirit. Oh no, I think I tried to get a totem up and failed, or not failed. I think my opponent just spelled it, and I hit a couple dice left. So I just put Children Ubi up, just in case. I shoot my bombardiers at the Ordo sergeants and do a couple wounds to get past the armor, but a couple 6 of Aegises, and I don't do any wounds with them, so it's a bit of a bummer. And that's really about it for my turn 1. My opponent decides, it was kind of a little tough to know quite what he wanted to do. He at first wanted to charge his the Hippogriff into the Rock, but thinking he had the +2 advance all the time, and then being like, oh wait, honor doesn't work in the flank, so it's a little too far. Might not be able to do that, so he's going to try getting the Fey Courtier to charge, and the Fey Courtier does make into the Rock. And these guys charge the Yetis too. And the Fey Knight comes up, who is now on a much bigger base. He's on a 50 by 75, so a little bit of a bigger model. So I think people are going to be able to have some fun with that. Maybe make some dynamic bases for their Fey Knight. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, he just moves up. He moves 8, pops up the top of the field, threatens my bombardiers. And this is what the rest of the battlefield's looking like. His feudal knights just back up as much as they can. They're pretty far, about 17 inches or so from my tribesman, so that's a tough charge. And then he's just going to use his divination and bowfire to get rid of the Yetis. And other than that, yeah, just sort of repositions a little bit. Hoping to hold up the Rock for a turn with the Fey Courtier. He tries to cast 2 spells. He fails on Erring Strike, and I dispel Face Judgment. So that was pretty big. He just failed on Erring Strike by 1 with 3 dice. Just a poor roll. Got 1 back, but that didn't matter. He just doesn't have enough missiles, so I got lucky there. He did do a Raven's Wing, and literally all he did with the Knights is sort of move them up, touch, and move back to be in the same spot. And yeah, just he did 1 wound with the sweeping attack. He did put Evil Eye here. That helps make the charge even harder for the tribesmen. And then just shot with his hooded men, and unfortunately only did 2 more wounds. So I still have Yeti, and he passed his Panic test because my general BSB are right behind him. So not too bad. I can still chaff with that Yeti. The Trebuchet hits, even with the Swarm of Insects on the first shot, rolls a 6, and does 5 wounds. Trebuchet is way different now. It's a 3 by 8, doesn't have anything under the hole. It's just strength 4, AP1, 3 by 8 hits. So yeah, just hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, hit 12 ogres, and did 5 wounds, which is a little below average. I guess it could have done 1 more. Or maybe it did do a couple more. Maybe I made an armor save. I can't remember. But yeah, that's not a bad turn for the Trebuchet, that's for sure. And then this combat's a bit of a pillow fight. The Fey Courtier is an interesting new model. It's Resilience 5, it's Strength 5, AP 2, it's got a 5 up armor save, 5 up Aegis save, but a 4 up Aegis save in close combat, which is quite good. And I think 4 attacks, offensive, defensive, 5. So the Courtier comes in and it does 1 wound to the Rock. The Rock goes back to attack and it hits 5 times with 2 battle focuses. I'm thinking like, oh, this is gonna be great because it's a supernal creature too. So if I can possibly do a couple wounds or maybe even get lucky and do 3, I'm thinking I might be able to pop this thing or something like that. Probably unlikely, but maybe. But I just ended up rolling 4 1s to wound, and I do 1 wound. So I end up failing or having to take a break test, but I pass it with the rock. So we're just gonna stick around, and we reform like this. And yeah, the Yetis go down. I don't even think the Yetis killed an Ordos guy. They just did not hit or wound very well. And then they actually overrun a bit, took a little close to the Rock and the Bombardiers. And then Ogre Khan's turn 2. The Merc Vets make a 16-inch charge. Yep, they need a 10 on the dice into the flank of this guy, so I was pretty excited about that. If they did not make it, I was going to have to do something with the Bombardiers against this guy, and I did not like that. But I'm hoping these guys, they pack a wallop. They have a lot of attacks since all strength 6 against him. I'm hoping they can punk him. And then over here, I also attempted to charge my Tuskers into the Peasant Levy. I feel like that was also a tough one where they were going to have a decent armor, Aegis save, a 5-up, and it's kind of like I have to do like 20-ish wounds, and it's like I have the attacks and the impact hits and the stomps to possibly do that, but it kind of depends on how the Aegis saves roll. I ended up just failing and going 4 inches forward, but I would have liked it. I would have very much liked it. So yeah, other than that, the ogres just sort of move up, reposition. I'm chaffing at the Yeti again. I'm trying to bait the Hippogriff Lord into going into the Tribe Star and maybe getting stuck there so I can kill it at a later time, while also being careful not to get too close to any other block, because I think if the Hippogriff comes in with any other unit, it probably blows apart the tribesman. He's just got so many attacks that do D3 wounds, and he's hitting that unit on 3s, wounding him on 2s. Yeah, so that's a little tough. The Bombardiers move up just to try and blast away a decent chunk of the Ordo Sergeants. And then the tribesmen on the right and left, the right's getting into the deployment zone. The left is moving up 12 to kind of threaten the Hedge Knights and maybe even the flank of the Peasant Levy. Unfortunately, I get only Flux card 2 this turn. Not a great time, and it could have used a little bit more magic. I do a Swarm of Insects on, I think, the Trebuchet again, and my opponent stops it, dispels it, and then I'm able to get a Break the Spirit off on this guy. That was quite helpful, actually. I was hoping that if I can just get Break the Spirit off, I might just be able to not lose. I'm looking just not to lose 2 ogres. I think he can easily kill 1 a turn, possibly 2 a turn, with how many attacks he gets. And then I do a little shooting with my BSB. My Great Khan doesn't really hit anything, but my BSB does 2 wounds to the Trebuchet, so that was pretty cool. Almost I got half points on it. Almost might kill it. In combat here, yeah, there we go. Okay, he goes first, and he kills 1. And then I go with my attacks, and we put 3 wounds on him, so I was pretty excited about that. 3 wounds to 3 wounds. I thought that was pretty good trade. He's down by 2 with a charge and a flank, and he passes his break test just right on the nose. He needed a 6, and he rolled a 6. So that was a bit of a bummer because I would have loved to have seen this guy pop, but it was not meant to be. So we'll have to see if we can get him next turn. And then in this combat here, I think I do another wound to the Fate Courtier. I think that's it. And then I just kind of reform to make sure that the Ordos guys only can fight the Rock. I'm hopeful that they can't really do a whole lot. I get to go first against them, and I'm hoping I can maybe kill a few of them before they get to strike. They're only strength 5, so it's like they're ruin on 5, so just decent, but yeah, we'll see, because that unit has great weapons, the Ordos Sergeants. Yeah, but we'll see. Yeah, this is what it'll look like going into KoE turn 2. And the the Hedge Knights and the Hippo Lord declare a charge on the tribesman block, and the BSB declares a charge. Oh, actually, and the Peasant Levy, and there's the Hippo Lord, and the BSB charges the Yeti to clear the chaff, and the Ordos are going to charge the Rock, so they make the Rock, and then the Hippo Lord makes it into the Tribe Star. So that is kind of what I was hoping for. I think he failed the Hedge Knights by one. It was decently far. I think it was like a 17, which is about average. It might have been an 18. It was a little far, but again, he has a champion in that unit, and I think as long as he has a champion in that unit, I can't really issue a duel. He can kind of hide, against my Great Khan, and again, he can just sort of get his hippo in a good spot where I just can't do a whole heck of a lot against the unit. So yeah, good turn for him to fail those things. Oh, he did charge the Tuskers. I think I can't remember what he charged with first, but I fled. It might have been the Hedge Knights. I don't know. Maybe it was the Hippo Lord, because the Hippo Lord wasn't very far either. I think those two were both close enough where they could have gone together and they would have blown up the Tuskers. Going into my opponent's magic phase at the start of a friendly magic phase, the Ordo's Minister in the Ordo Sergeant unit just gets to raise a dude. So my opponent's lost a couple guys to the Bombardiers, so one knight just comes back. My opponent tries to get wheel turns, but I stop that. No, thank you. And then he's also, unfortunately, though, able to then get Raven's Wing off from the Quinn on the Hedge Knights, so they're now in a very solid position. Where before, I was looking at their flank. Now I probably can't charge that. And then, oh yeah, good move here. He got Summer Growth off on the Fey Knight, got himself 2 wounds back, and also took a wound off of the Fey Courtier. So, very good use of Druidism to. I was feeling pretty good about the combats on my right flank here, but this made me think I might want to be a little nervous now. I think the Trebuchet shoots over here and does a couple wounds and kills one of the ogres, but I passed my panic test. And I think this is the shooting from the archers. They didn't really have a great shot this turn because a lot of things are in combat, but they plink a wound on the Bombardiers. And this is when my opponent starts using his Horizon tokens. So the Horizon tokens, you can use them on any of your units within 8 inches of an Ordos thing. A character that has a character or your champion that has the Ordos or Horizon special rule. In this case, he's using it to increase his Aegis save by 1. So now his knights have a 5-up Aegis save against any of the attacks from the Rock. So that's pretty good. And it's kind of a fluff combat. I think I do 2 wounds. He does a wound or 2 back to the Rock. Not a whole lot. Unfortunately, I was hoping to do a little bit more, but just couldn't really get either. Just didn't hit or wound well, or he made a couple Aegis saves. But I stick around. I think I might lose by 1 or 2, but I stick. So happy about that. And over here, this was quite big. Just sort of the Break Spirit really helps here, where he whiffed hitting, and he only does 2 wounds, and his mount doesn't do anything. So I get to go back with a bunch of attacks, and I think we put another 2 wounds back on him. So now he's kind of in the same spot where he was at last time, so I thought that was a very lucky break, because now, again, I don't know if he'll do 4 wounds, and if he doesn't, I get one more chance to try and just plink that last wound on him. So, and I think we even made him take a test again, and he passed. He passed it, but we're getting really close to killing that Fey Knight. The Beast comes in, only does 2 wounds to the Yeti. Yeti doesn't do anything to him. He just lets the Yeti run. The Yeti goes just kind of right in that forest. And then we just sack the champion here. And yeah. Yeah, that was all I was going to ever do. And this is what it's looking like at the start of OgreCon's turn 3. So yeah, a lot of things are in combat. Uh, the Bruisers on the left, they just kind of chaff the Hedge Knights. The Tuskers rally, thankfully, and then the Bruisers on the right there, they just kind of move as far as they can straight forward. I wanted to kind of keep moving at a curve, but I was just continually nervous that the Fey Knight was going to just turn up and kill the rest of the Merkvets, and then be able to have an easy charge into the Bruisers. And I thought he would probably not have to worry about dying there too. So, and I also charged the Bombardiers into the combat with the Rock. I'm hoping that the Rock doesn't die, and that we can maybe generate enough combat res to break a couple things or do something here. Yeah, because I'm not too worried about the combat in the middle now, because the Hippo Lord is all on the charge with his lance. After that, he's just like a strength 4 guy, really. Unfortunately, we get the Flux card 1, and I did have enough dice and Veil tokens to get 6 to 4, so that was quite helpful. And I got a Totemic Summon up, which is nice. Can start threatening some things back here. And I almost got Children of Umi off. My opponent almost gave this to me. I couldn't believe it. I had 2 dice left. I tossed it to get a 6. So I just get the spell off on a 7. My opponent has 4 dice, and he almost fails it. I couldn't believe it. It was so close. Oh, man. But Children of Umi would have been amazing on the Rock. If that came off, that would have been big. Yes, in this combat, the Great Khan fights the Hippo Lord and gives him a good smack in the face and puts 3 wounds on him, which was awesome with Kagadai's Legacy. And then he just kind of breaks from combat. A lot of static combat res, 3 ranks, banner, 3 wounds against him. He didn't do anything by Great Khan. I elect not to pursue only because I'm a little bit nervous about I didn't want to go too far forward, get flanked by the BSB, get charged by the Knights. I don't know. It didn't seem like the best positioning. Um, yeah. And then he does panic the Peasant Levy. I also was a little bit worried about the Peasant Levy coming in too and just providing a bunch of extra, combat res. Just too much combat res, but this was before I realized or before we knew that the Peasant Levy get panicked by the Hippo Lord flying through, and they just run off the board, actually. So that probably would have changed it, but that's hindsight. So that was a lucky break for me. Another lucky break over here is the Fey Knight does another 3 wounds. So the champ is sitting on 2 wounds and is able to get the last wound on the Fey Knight. So that was big because now that the model's gone, don't have to worry about him. Very lucky combat here. A bit of a tougher break here. I was a little bit sad to see this guy go down. My opponent was kind of just barely squeaked through the 3 wounds he needed between, I think, the courtier and the 4 knights that he had to attack. So, and I believe we tie combat. I don't think I did a whole lot more damage with my bombardiers, unfortunately. So that's a bit of a bummer. And then I do end up reforming, and I will make a crucial mistake here. And this happened, I forgot to take a picture of this earlier, is the Totemic Beast did his breath weapon, did 5 wounds, 4 wounds on the Hooded Men, so that helps with reducing their ability to maybe threaten my scoring units in its deployment zone. Yep, so I reform, and then I decide, you know what, I actually probably want to rank. That could be helpful. And I gave myself a bit too much space here. So, this is my own damn fault, as you can say. Just gave enough space for these knights to swing into this gap here and connect on that corner. Thankfully, they don't have an overrun to the flank of the tribesmen. Otherwise, this would have been game over right here. But yep, the knights come in. They even go through the forest and they don't take any DTs. They just uh, didn't roll any once. They didn't even have the unicorn in there. They just were blessed by the lady, you could say. And then over here, the hedge knights go into the bruiser just to beat them up. And the hippo lord does rally. And my opponent kind of just moves his two characters over to block the totemic summon from going into the. Well, it can go into the BSB and the damsel, but the BSB will probably just kill it before it gets to go, and it can't go into the hooded men. So it was good to move my opponent. Um, yeah, I think the Yeti fleed. Oh, it fled on my last turn, and I think I forgot to move it or get a good picture of that. But yeah, we got a lot of combat, and the those bombarders not long for the world. The magic phase, another Ordo Sergeant comes back from the dead. My opponent gets the Oaken Throne off. You can guess what he's probably going to try and do. He fails cast Breath of the Lady with 2 dice. He just rolls 2 1s, gets him back. He tries doing. Oh, this is the Oaken Throne roll. He rolled a 6 and I rolled a 1 and a 2, unfortunately. He tries to cast the Hereditary version, and I throw a single dice at it and stop it on a 5, so that was nice. And then he tries Summer Growth, and I end up matching him. So I got very lucky. My opponent was a little hard on himself. He was like, I managed that magic phase very poorly. And I could say the same thing because I just got lucky. The Trebuchet hits again and does a decent amount more damage to the ogres. Trebuchet hit, I think, like 5 out of the 6 turns it got shoot. Trebuchet was doing work. Yeah, these ogres get beat up. They end up breaking contact with the knights. Um, and yeah, they get away though. And he only pursued at the Fate Courtier so he could turn his feudal knights to look at the big tribesman block and look at the center of the board. And then he's looking at using his Ordos to look at the Merkvet, also with the ability maybe to charge him or move somewhere at the end of this turn. So these guys over here go in, they do 5 wounds. I do a wound back. They beat me. I run. He doesn't pursue. I don't go off the board. So that was helpful. See if that guy sticks around. Ogre Khan's turn 4. I charge the Merkvet into the Ordo Sergeants, but I fail. Unfortunately, it was the same thing I needed before. It was 10 on the dice. So 16 charge. Fail that. And I also try to get the Totemic Summon into the Trebuchet. Fail that by a couple inches too, so it's a bit of a bummer. And other than that, I moved my BSB out because I want to try and use the Viper's Curse to plink the last few wounds off of the Hippolord. Even knowing he's at the Black Knight Talberd, I'm thinking maybe I can do this over 2 turns, or maybe I can. I want to try and get rid of him. And then I just moved my Tribe Star in a way where I'm in the front of the Feudal Knights, and the Hedge Knights can't see me, and the Hippo dude's really far away. I'm pretty confident that those guys can go in, and I can beat them with my tribes. It's not a great fight, but it's also not the worst fight in the world. The tribesmen or the bombardiers do rally, and then I move my Merkvets over also to try and cover the other side of the board. And I also make a huge mistake here that you'll see next turn. I do a Swarm of Insects on the Fate Courtier. We get 3 wounds on it, which was ridiculous. But that's the power of Swarm of Insects. You never know when it's going to just spike. Those were his Aegis saves after his failed armor saves. It was crazy. And Black Knight's Talberd does activate. I do the final wound. He dies. He comes back on a wound. So I was like, okay, that seems very promising. I'm not worried about those Hedge Knights, but I should have been worried about something else. and it's the Feudal Knights. And I feel like I was so focused on what my tribesman was doing the Feudal Knights that I just was not paying attention. And I think all it would have took was to not be on the hill and just to have that unit in my front, because I think my BSB can actually take that unit in its front. But in the flank, it's just the extra combat res is what's going to end up probably killing him. This thing comes in the front here. I could have fled, but I was kind of close. And again, it's only got one wound left now, so I'm kind of hoping that either he flubs or maybe with one ogre I could just poke that one last wound through. So, oh, and he also charges with his Ordo Sergeant into my Merkvet, which is also again like he's only got 4 guys. He's going to get a 5th one back. I've got like 6 attacks. You know, it's kind of tough. You don't know how that's going to go. If I have a really good roll, I mean, he might only have a couple guys left, and if he misses, that could be quite nice. He charges his BSB into the Totemic Summon, just to, again, just keeping points alive, right? He tries Know the Enemy, but actually he fails to cast Know the Enemy. Then he casts Summer Growth here, gets 7 knights back, or 6 knights, 1 for that. So that unit's almost up to full strength. Or I think it's back up to full strength. So that's pretty crazy. And yep, this is the kind of the rest of the movement. A little bit out of order, but the hippo dude moves up. The hedge knights kind of just move past, and yeah, he's in a good position right now. The fake courtier does go down, so that was nice. Do 1 wound, fails his 4 pages, fails armor, fails 4 pages. Good job, Bombardiers. BSB kills the Totemic Summon. And then, yeah, the BSB just, oh man, he whiffed so hard. I think I'm hit once with like 5 attacks, hitting on 3s. I'm hitting on 3s, wounding on 2s, and I hit once, and I don't even do a wound. It was bad. And he only did 1 wound to me. It's just he had 5 static combat res. Charge, rank, 2 banners, big flank. Yeah. Or maybe he even had 6. Maybe we forgot about his Knight Banneret. Yeah, either way, he just has a lot of combat res with that unit in the flank, and I rolled very poorly. Oh, these guys are able to take care of less Merkvet, clean up there. So this is going into my turn 5. Or no, this must be my turn 4. I must be counting these wrong. I try to give these guys a good charge. They flee. The Tuskers are going to fail. But the Bombardier needs a 10. And he ends up failing it. The Yeti goes off the board. And that's kind of where we are looking. I forgot. The Hedge Knights are facing. They're facing the hill right now. I forgot why my opponent did that. Yeah, and then that's kind of I just move my ogres into the forest. Bit of a risky move, but again, none of the knights are looking at them. I'm kind of thinking about breakthrough still. I've only got the 1 bombardier unit in the corner. My one bruiser unit in my opponent's corner. My other bruiser did rally on a 4, which is pretty sweet. And he is kind of kicking about, kind of trying to bait those knights to go after him. Yeah, so I just move up with the bruiser or the tribesman block. I moved up 6, got in the forest, just kind of barely, so that my Great Khan can shoot his brace of pistols, see if he can pull off the last wound on the hippo. Probably not a great plan, but I felt like if I could just remove the hippo out of the equation, that makes the rest of the game so much easier. So that's what I wanted to try and do. I get Flux card 3. Which actually, yeah, this looks like turn 5. This is my turn 5. Yeah, never mind. Yeah, I can see 5 Flux cards. I get a Swarm of Insects that actually, it just deletes the rest of the Hooded Men, so that was really fortunate. And the Folk here doesn't panic, so that was good for my opponent. And I tried Totemic Summon, but my opponent easily stops it, so that was a bit of a bummer. I think it was. It looks like it was 5 dice to 5, and he just outrolled me. I do a wound with the brace of pistols, but he makes a 4 armor save, so Little close. I was so close, maybe killing that guy. Help him reducing a headache for sure. Yes, that's the end of Ogre's turn 5. KoE turn 5. My opponent decides he's just going to go for it with the Hippo into the. Really just going to try and kill the Redcon. And he's only got 1 wound left, but he's got a good magic phase and he can do a lot of buffs. He's just going to clean up the Bruiser so that he can't really do anything annoying. He was kind of debating about just marching into the deployment zone, but then I think he just kind of thought, well, I can do that next turn on turn 6. So that's kind of where he didn't wanted the Bruiser to chaff or anything like that, or to fail a March block test and get chaffed again or something like that. So and then these guys crucially passed a good rally test. They needed a 7, and they got it right on the 7. So that was big for my opponent. They're going to be able to march into the deployment zone next turn. And yeah, he moves up his Damsel to do some magic. The Bruisers are just kind of chilling his deployment, but they've got the BSB staring him down. In the magic phase, my opponent gets scrying up on his Dracon. Yep, I failed to cast it, or failed to spell it by 2. Yeah, so it's good. So he gets scrying up. He gets Fate's Judgment off. He does 6 wounds of Fate's Judgment on this poor Bombardier and kills him. And then I do stop the wheels turn, thankfully, on my Great Khan's unit too, because that could have been really, really bad for this one round, but I guess not terrible for the next one. Yeah, kind of. Well, still would have been -1. I don't know. It probably would have been tough anyway. But definitely would have hurt the Great Khan because I'm wounding on 2s, so I got to hope that whatever I hit with, I can try and get through. So, and yeah, I think he. Oh yeah, that's right. The Trebuchet hits these Bombardiers, does 2 wounds, almost panics them. That's crazy. Oh, and then the Great Khan goes down. I actually made a ton of Aegis saves, even with his divine attacks. I think he did 6 wounds, and I made 4 Aegis saves twice. I rolled 4 4-ups, and then I rolled another 4 4-ups. And I thought, okay, maybe I'm gonna live. And then he does his multiple wounds with his divine judgment, and he only does 3 wounds. I'm thinking, okay, I have a shot here to maybe just punk him. And the Hippo goes and does the last 2 wounds in the Great Khan. So that's it. I shouldn't have made that many Aegis saves, but alas, I got really excited for a second, and then the Hippo sealed the Great Khan's fate. These guys easily kill the 1 Bruiser, and just turn, and then they're going to be able to go right into the deployment zone next turn. And yeah, I just in this last turn too, I forgot to say the important thing is the Tribesman block does stick on this. There's steadfast 8 now, so that was important because that could have also collapsed things quite a bit. And they passed their terror check too. They had to take a 9 when it charged in. So yeah, that could have been a little scary. So I guess he doesn't cause terror. Yeah, no, he just causes fear. The Tuskers are just sort of looking at the Hedge Knights. Yeah, I think this is just Ogre Khan's turn 6. Not a whole lot to do. Do get a nice magic phase though. Barely able to break the spirit off over here, which I'm hoping just causes a panic test. And then I'm also able to get a Totanic summon off over here. And I just had enough space to block these guys. It's like an inch each way, and just enough that they can't wheel and march past this thing. So that was very sneaky there. And then we go into this combat, and somehow the shaman. I ended up. I also got Children of Umi. I forgot about that. I ended up just tossing the shaman at the Hippogriff. More so, I was worried about him again, just doing too many wounds and winning combat and breaking me. Even though it was tempting to toss a bunch of ogre attacks at him, I wasn't so sure that they could do it. They were hitting on 6s. And I mean, the same. So was that's the shaman was hitting on fives because he's offensive 4. Um, so the shaman ends up hitting 3 times, wounding 1 time, and getting 1 wound through and killing the hippo. So that was surprising. I was hoping just to slog this out for 2 rounds of combat, but I ended up just kind of getting a little lucky, honestly, killing the hippo lord. And that's the last ogre con's turn, so it's really just up to my opponent. And again, this last turn, my opponent just kind of has a little bit of fun here. He charges the BSB here, thinking this is no problem, right? He can beat up 3 bruisers. I mean, there's even 2 wounds in the last one, so he could probably even easily pull off 2 of those models. My opponent, just decides to charge here because why not? He can't really do the march that he wants to do, and it's in the flank, so um, yeah. And then he just we were kind of debating about this question all the time throughout most of the game is do hedge knights win a combat against Tuskers? So my opponent decides just to go for it. He wished he had a couple more models, but that is what it is. These guys take 4. They end up taking 4, failing 4 DT tests, but he makes 2 6-up Aegises. Which if he had failed 1, he would have had to take a break test. So that was quite big. So these guys are now scoring 12 inches in the deployment zone. And as you can see, the BSB is about to beat up another my only scoring unit in my opponent's deployment zone. And kind of just moves the magic around to look at the tribesman unit. The trebuchet is going to shoot a tribesman unit. My opponent gets the wheels turn off with his Quinn adept on the Tuskers, so that hurts because I'm definitely wounding him better than 4s in most cases. And then he also gets scrying off, so he just gets a couple really good buffs on them. The trebuchet dies last turn, 1 and a 1, and just sort of punks itself. So that was a sad end to an otherwise really solid run for the trebuchet. This was the most insane thing I've ever seen. The BSB goes in. He does 3 wounds. The horse does a wound. I make a 6-up armor save on the bruisers to keep the 1 second model alive. I got 6 attacks. I hit 6 times. I wound 6 times. And the BSB makes 3 armor saves and makes 0 Aegis saves. And he just... it's like one of those things where you're just like, how did the dice, how could they have rolled up in that exact fashion? Yeah, it was ridiculous. Ridiculous. I couldn't believe it. And this was not a good combat. They come in, the Hedge Knights came in and they hit with all but 2 of their attacks, but then had 3 battle focus. So they had 12 hits, and then they just whiffed on their wound roll and did 2 wounds, and I made 2 armor saves. They're only AP 1. And then it's just Tuskers have too many attacks, so these guys end up getting punked to death. Even with scrying, even with the wheel turns, it's just they have a lot of attacks, and they just end up killing them. And the one thing about Hedge Knights is they're only 3-up armor save knight unit right now, so a little squishy. But again, my opponent was just having fun at the end there, just seeing what we could do. And the Totemic Summon gets crushed. And this is the end of the game. Very fascinating conclusion there right at the end. So let's tally it up and see who won. So we tallied up the points, and in KoE ended up having 2,896 victory points, and the Ogre Cons had 3,120, which was exactly like 224 or something like that. And it was a 10-10 on the battle points there. Nobody got the objective since we both had a scoring unit. If anything, the Ogres definitely ran away with this at the end there and kind of stole from the KoE. But very fun game. Sorry it was a bit of a longer one. I feel like I doubled down on taking pictures this time and got quite a bit. But thanks for all for watching. Look forward to the KoE book being released on December 25th, Christmas Day. And then you can dive in and look at all the different rules and all the different things that are going on in that book. So thanks for watching, and have a good rest of your year.